Hey, mama. Basketball mom, thank you for the words. Appreciate it. Appreciate the support. Wilfred Nelson Real Estate, what's going on? Big Slim 34, thanks for joining. Bean, what's going on? Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. So y'all know I like to start on time. So welcome to episode 38 of the Positive Impact Podcast, where we talk about all topics relevant to the game that I love. I am your host, Terrell Dozier, and tonight's special guest, I gotta throw out the legend tag right now, a living one to me in the high school basketball coaching realm. DeMatha head coach, Mr. Mike Jones. Coach,
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Is it okay to call you Coach Mike?
Hey,
I want to be respectful tonight now.
hey, man, it's no need, brother. You can call me whatever it is you need to, man.
Nah, listen, man. I know you're a busy guy, man. I appreciate you getting on here with me tonight, man, and chopping it up with me. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I wanna get right into it. First and foremost, how you and your family doing during this pandemic?
We're doing well. We're doing well. Obviously, it's given us a lot of time in the house. No complaints by us, though. My wife is a cancer survivor, so she's higher risk for contraction. So being able to stay safe, being in the house, and just being around each other is not been a good thing.
Good, good. That's a blessing. That's a blessing. So let's jump right into your story, man, and talk to me about growing up in Maryland. You know what I mean, and how you fell in love with the game that's done, that you've given so much to and has given so much to you.
Growing up in Prince George's County in Maryland, basketball is a huge part of our culture, kind of a way of life here. And I've been, privileged to be around the game, to be around a lot of high achieving people within the game. One of those places that I could go and always count on was DeMatha High School when I was younger. And it just made it a natural progression for me to go there and be able to soak up as much knowledge as I possibly could. And it really influenced my love for the game. And I truly believe that that's why I'm still a part of it today.
Absolutely. So you talk about growing up in Prince George County. Obviously the documentary just came out, man, and a lot of people are, a lot of people know, but a lot of people who outside of PG County and outside of Maryland now get to understand the talent that comes from there every year and how much of that talent has come through DeMatha. Talk about the connection between PG County and DeMatha.
DeMatha is in PG County, and back when I was going through DeMatha, our school's always been more of a regional school. The DMV, the DC, Maryland, and Virginia. I mean, it's like we're really spread out. As a private school, our kids were coming from everywhere. But the bulk of our kids come from Prince George's County. So, the relationship between the school and the county is, we are Prince George's County. We're built in Prince George's County. We represent Prince George's County in everything we do, as well as the entire DMV as a whole. But we're proud to say we're Prince Georgians.
Nice, nice. So probably for you growing up, it was a no-brainer. I mean, DeMatha before you had you know, the greatest high school coach there is. I can't even say one of. I'm going to say the greatest. I'm throwing it out there. You know, Morgan Wooten, 1,200 wins, man, Hall of Famer, and you got a chance to play for him first. So talk about what you learned from Coach Wooten as a player at DeMatha.
I learned how to play the game the right way. You know, it's funny. I came from Prince George's County Public Schools. You know, back then we didn't have school teams. Like the team at my middle school, Kettering Middle School, you know, formed a team to play the teachers. That was the only game we ever got to play. So it was all boys and girls club, and that was really at the start of the boom for AAU. And we got to play a little bit there. And, you know, as an eighth grader, as a 13, 14-year-old kid, I thought I knew how to play basketball. But nah, I got taught how to play once I got to high school, and I'm so thankful for that. And my influence, like honestly, and I don't get the chance to talk about this much, but I learned from Coach Wooten at DeMatha, obviously, but I had a really good and strong AAU coach as well, named Lester Butler. And the funny thing about him, he was actually a girls' high school coach that had a son that was my age, and so he started an AAU team, and we won 3 out of 4 national championships, and he was one of the best coaches I had ever been around. So, you know, my influence goes much beyond just DeMatha, but obviously that's at the core of who I am.
Nice. So I got to talk about the 1991 city championship game that they talk about so much, that one of the best comebacks in DeMatha history, and at the center of it was Mike Jones. And I believe, and you correct me if I'm wrong, because I think we're the same year, 91, and I went to a prep school in Connecticut, St. Thomas More, and I played against a hell of a player from MCI named Johnny Rhodes.
Yes, sir.
You know, hell of a player. He probably the best player I saw in prep school that year was Johnny Rhodes. Talk about that game, man, and what it means to you.
So we were undefeated. We were going into the game. We finished 30-0 for the year. Going into the game, we were 26-0, and we were number 1 in the Washington D.C. area. And Dunbar was the public school champion from D.C., and they were number 2. And Dunbar had just a ton of players on their team, Johnny Rhodes being one of them, but they were really good. And I think a lot of people looked at us like, oh, that's the Catholic school team. Like, they're not going to be able to really handle the public school kids. And, I mean, honestly, when the game started, shoot, we couldn't. Like, we were down 17 before you know it. I remember going into the locker room at halftime. People were laughing at us. I mean, we were in, you know, Coldfield House back in the day was the place that you wanted to play. It was, you know, over 10,000 people there, and like they literally were giving us the blues on the way to the locker room. I mean, we were embarrassed. And I remember in that locker room, we had the typical come to Jesus talk, you know, before the coaches got in there, and we were a different team in the second half, and all the confidence that we had played with all season long came out in the second half, and we were able to walk them down. And you know, my teammate Juan Jones got a great pass from my point guard, Dwayne Simpkins, and made a shot. And we got a defensive stop to win the game at the end.
Nice. So you leave DeMatha and you go to Old Dominion University, have a great career at ODU, and played over, you know, got an opportunity to play overseas and, you know, and play professionally. And then you hurt your ankle, I believe, in '98, and came back to DeMatha and started working at DeMatha. Am I correct?
Yes.
So now you're at DeMatha, and now you're coaching now. So now, you know, a former player comes back home, and now he's coaching at DeMatha. So now talk about it from the other side of, you know, I was a player here, and you know what I mean? So you always had DeMatha in your heart, and now you get the opportunity to give back. Now talk about what that opportunity meant to you.
Yeah, so when I was young, I knew I wanted to be a coach. So like that was when I was in high school. I don't know what other guys that want to be coaches, what they think about, but I know my mission was when I stopped playing the game, I love the game so much. When I stopped playing the game, I want to coach the game. I want to be involved in the game. So I made that decision when I was in high school. And the one thing that it allowed me to do at a pretty young age was to truly pay attention to all the coaches I had. Try to pick up, like, how did I feel as though coaches best communicated with me? How did I feel as though they best communicated with others? Like, just the standards that they had. Like, it truly made me a true student of the game long before being a student of the game was a thing. So, you know, through my career, like, and in '97, I almost stopped playing because DeMatha actually asked me to come back. I got my degree in human services and counseling. There was an opening within the guidance counseling office at DeMatha. You know, truth be told, they wanted some diversity within the department. So they reached out to me and said, hey, we have an opening in our counseling center, and Coach Wooten wants you to come and join his staff. Like, is this something? And so I actually agreed to do it. But like most basketball players, I still had that itch. And, you know, my agreement to go to DeMatha was because I didn't have a contract yet to go play. Well, lo and behold, maybe 10, 12 days later, I got a call from my agent to say, hey, you know, a team in Portugal wants you to come play for them. So it became, well, I'm going to put this on hold for a year. And that's what I did. And I was already injured, and I wound up playing an entire season and making my injury worse. And so the last place I wound up playing was Hong Kong the summer before I went to DeMatha in the fall of '98. And again, I've never, like, I don't think I was able to play at the level I needed to anyway because of my ankle injury, but I never looked back once that happened.
No question about it. So, big fella Hunter done got on. Congratulations, Hunter, going to Michigan next year.
Yeah, tell Hunter, well, Hunter, you can hear me, like, no jokes, man. We're having a serious conversation right now.
Okay. Oh, he's a funny guy. Okay. Listen, I wouldn't even know that to watch him play. He's a funny guy, huh?
I knew that was coming.
Okay. Okay. Nah, listen, one of the throwbacks in this game, a true post player. So I want to talk about that day in 2002 when you got the knock on the door and Coach Wooten says, I need to talk to you. Talk about that moment. Talk about that moment and now going from the assistant coach to knowing that you're going to become the head coach at DeMatha.
So, I mean, there's a long backstory to that I won't go too far into, but at some point in time, the prior spring, the school, like Coach Wooten basically told the school, like, hey, I'm not saying I'm going to retire, but there's a possibility that, you know, I may no longer be the coach here at DeMatha. So if I were you guys, I would start to think about what you're going to do if I do decide to do that. I have to, you know, discuss it with my family, maybe take some time off and figure out what I want to do. So the school had brought myself and Coach's other assistant, Neil Murphy, in. The school decided that basically between the two of us, at least for a year, that one of us would get the opportunity to be the interim coach at the school. And, you know, thank God, you know, myself, Coach Murphy, our principal, and our athletic director, the four of us got together and we decided that I would be the interim coach. And I truly appreciate Neil Murphy and obviously the school for allowing that to be the opportunity. And when Coach Wooten walked into my office, and this is literally 2 days before the season is supposed to start, and just said, hey, you know, are we alone? And I was like, yeah, it was pretty late in the evening. And he's just like, so I need to tell you something. And we walk over to his office and we sit down, and he tells me, like, hey, tomorrow I'm going to announce I'm going to retire. And I immediately knew what that meant. He immediately knew what that meant. And I mean, it was the day that my life changed.
So, I mean, obviously, like, nobody can fill Morgan Wooten's shoes. You know what I mean? And so talk about, did you feel any pressure behind it, though? Like, you know, not to fill his shoes, but I'm the next in line to a legend. Like, talk about how you felt. Maybe you didn't feel any, but tell me how you felt when were you just ready?
I mean, it's funny. I don't truly feel like I feel pressure in anything. Like it's the way I played, it's the way I've coached. Like I don't look at it like that. But I also know that what I do feel, other people might feel like, well, that is pressure. Obviously, falling behind coach, and again, some people know this, some people don't. Like literally, we were 8-0. Like we won our first 6 games, went away to a Christmas tournament, won the first 2 games there, and like everything's normal. This is what DeMatha does. And then we lost 5 straight games, and we were 8-5. And then, I mean, we literally finished my interim year, so to speak, 15-17. And there was a lot of people within the DeMatha community was just like, okay, well, that didn't work. So who's going to be our next coach? And the school had always said that they were going to go through a national search anyway. So regardless of how we had done my first year, they were going to, open the job up. So, but obviously I wanted the job. Like I wanted the opportunity to be the head coach at DeMatha. And, all indications were maybe I was too young, wasn't ready, things like that. But the players that played for me supported me. The families of those players supported me. Obviously, I had Coach Wooten support. And, one of the things that is great about DeMatha is that they wanted this to be one of their guys. And so I was given the opportunity. I went through the process. I was given the opportunity to be the coach. And, fortunately enough, I've had some pretty good players over the years. So, success has followed.
Absolutely. No question about it. So when you talk about success has followed, over 500 wins, which is an outstanding milestone, but not just to get 500 wins, but 500 wins, and you guys are playing in the WCAC, which is one of the toughest leagues out there. For the people who don't know that are on here, talk about the WCAC, please.
It is, I don't believe that it's really disputable, but obviously I'm biased. But I will, it is the toughest high school in the country, toughest high school conference in the country. We have great players in our area, and in this area, like the best players, like there's great leagues in our area. There's great players everywhere, but the bulk or the mass of the best players are played within our league. And you look at just last season, and the funny thing is, you can say this a lot, but last season we had 4 of our teams at one point in time all ranked in the top 12 in the country, not the top 25, but we were in the top 12. Each of those same 4 teams spent time in the top 10 during the season. I can think back in the mid-2000s, the team that finished in 8th place in our league that same season beat the #1 team in the country. Like every team in our league has multiple Division I players. Every team in our league has a coaching staff that, like, to say they're good coaches is not even fair. Like, they have coaches that put the time into being the best they can be. They scout, they workouts, their X and O, their execution. Like that, we're just, it's part of the culture in our area. But like, it truly is something that like we take pride in, and every year, like, one team is the favorite, and you've got 4 or 5 other teams that all are capable of beating that team, and it's dog fights every night.
So, and you had the opportunity to obviously coach some NBA players among, the Grant brothers, Markel Fultz and Victor Oladipo and Quinn Cook, and at some point they've all have mentioned their growth at DeMatha, you know what I mean? And, and what that, and what that says about you. Talk about the give back, you know what I mean? And what for like younger players coming up, knowing that there's guys who wore this jersey that are now playing in the NBA and the connection that they have with the DeMatha family.
Well, I think one of the best things for us is, those guys get to come back. And those guys, especially in the off season, like if we weren't going through this pandemic right now, I mean, we'd be in summer camp, and those guys will be coming in to work out before camp or at the end of camp in the afternoons. And, the older guys come back and play pickup, and our current players get to see that. Hunter has played with the bigs that all played at DeMatha before him, and then other bigs in the area that come back and just play at the pickup games at our school. So we've had just, again, that big brother, little brother type thing. And, one of the things that we talk to our guys about is that legacy, because, when you're a freshman, you're benefiting from the legacy somebody else left.
Mm-hmm.
But over the next 4 years, you're going to create your own legacy, and you're going to have young guys looking up to you. And it's always embracing that. And you get guys that leave and they have they've won, they've represented themselves, their family, and our school so well. They've got it done in the classroom. They've stayed out of trouble. They've been able to have so many options in terms of what schools to go to. And it's so easy for a younger guy to come in behind them and look and say, well, I want to do the same thing. I mean, it's just, I think it's a great thing that we have, and it really helps our kids.
No question about it. No question about it. So three things stick out to me when I was doing my research. Number one, sweeping the floor before every practice and before every game, which, when I coached, that was a big thing for me too, was to sweep the floor. Talk about why it's so important to you to sweep the floor, because I'm sure DeMatha got janitors. You understand what I'm saying? But so why is the head coach at DeMatha sweeping the floor before every practice and before every game?
All right, so I'm not somebody that's going to be dishonest. I don't sweep the floor before every practice.
Oh no, okay, okay.
So now I know that when the right people are around and they see you do it once, and then they happen to come back 10 days later and they see you doing it again, I know that can be the impression that you do that all the time. So I do it often. And I am not opposed to doing it. The one thing is, you're right, we have other guys that do it. Our athletic director does it for us. We have managers that do it. So, but if it hasn't been done, and I will go and do it with no issue. And I think sometimes the other coaches seeing me do that, my players seeing me do that, it definitely helps to the whole, look, we're all in this for the right reasons. We're all working, and there's no reason for anybody to have the impression that, I'm above doing anything. If I will go out and sweep the floor, then anybody should be willing to do that.
No question about it. So, we've all seen coaches, it could be win at all costs. A lot of times it is. A kid makes a mistake in the game, could be a big game. You're out. You understand what I'm saying? We've seen kids get yanked out of games. They go sit on the bench, whatever the case may be. It's important to you guys that when you take a kid out the game, you explain to the kid why they were taken out the game. Because maybe sometimes it's not even because you did something wrong. You know what I mean? It could be time and situation. So talk about the importance of explaining to the kid why they're coming out of the game.
Yeah, so I think one of the things that we do early on in our season, many times before the season starts, is we actually sit each player down and talk about their role. So sometimes, there's no need to really tell them why they're coming out of the game. They know what their role is. They know why they went in, what they're going in for, and then they're coming out. So, and, this past season, and what we want to do, we don't always have the personnel to do it, but we want to play 11, 12 guys every single game. 11, 12 guys that get, 11, 12 guys can't all play 20 minutes, but get real minutes in a game. And we want that because, our depth is going to always be something that we want to be an advantage for us. But for guys coming out, understanding why they're coming out, or if there was a mistake made, being able to articulate that to them is huge, because when they go back in, you don't want them to make the same mistake. You also want to make sure that they understand that they, hey, I'll take a kid out for not taking a shot he was supposed to take. Now, I'm not going to do that the first time he does it, but if this is something that has happened consistently and we're trying to get him out of it, the first time he does it the next game, yeah, maybe you do yank him out of the game. Be like, hey, man, we talked about this. You've got to be confident enough to take that shot. I've got confidence in you, so you should have confidence in yourself. You've got to take that shot. If you're not going to take the shot, then I'm going to put somebody else in that will take the shot. So but having your guys understand, you know, I'm still developing as a coach. Like I told you in our text message, like I just got off a call with what I believe are 20 of the best coaches in America. And we do it once a week, and we're all like feeding each other and pouring into each other so that when we get back together with the USA Junior National Team program, we can be the best that we can be for those kids. And that's important. And communication and being able to do the best job we can representing, you know, our programs is something that we all need to continue to just try to do the best we can to improve at.
No question. And then my third is, again, you're a head coach with over 500 wins. You know what you're doing. But yet and still, you give your assistants the opportunity to have input. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not just, I'm Mike Jones, I got 500 wins. Yeah. Why is it so important that your assistants have some type of input into what goes on with DeMatha?
Well, I was an assistant coach. So if I'm not the coach I am today, if I wasn't allowed to have a voice, if I wasn't allowed to develop as a coach, and I truly appreciate that with my time with Coach Wooten, and then I was Coach Don Showalter's assistant with the USA team, you know, and a couple of different cycles. So, you know, being able to be empowered by the head coach, like I truly believe that that's something important. I've got guys on my staff that, you know, they've got government jobs and they're DeMatha graduates, and all they want to do is, like, they want to be a DeMatha coach. They want to give back to the program that gave so much to them. I've got other guys on my staff that want to be head coaches. And I feel like it's my job to make sure that I do everything I can to make sure that they're put in the positions for them to develop so that when they do get the opportunity to be a head coach, they're as well prepared as they possibly can be. Like, that is incredibly important to me.
Absolutely. So, you know, DeMatha is a high-profile basketball program, and you're at the head of it. And I'm sure that it afforded you some opportunities and coachings, and some doors were open for you as a coach at DeMatha. And one of the doors, and you kind of segued into it, is your work with USA Basketball. So you got started with the Youth Development Festival, you know what I mean? And
Yep.
And so talk about how you got connected with USA Basketball and what that experience has been like for you, because you're a very decorated USA Basketball coach now. So talk about the start of that.
So my very first USA experience was way back in 2004, after my second year as head coach at DeMatha, at the Youth Development Festival that you mentioned. That's back when they used to bring 4 teams from around the country, the North, South, East, and West, bring us to Colorado Springs, you know, play. And it was part of just getting young guys exposed to USA Basketball for future, you know, World University Games, Olympics, things like that. And then, like, I didn't do anything with USA Basketball. Our coach, Quinn Cook was named to the 2009 U16 national team, the very first team that would go into international competition. And he was the starting point guard on the U16 in 2009, and then on the U17 team in 2010. And that summer, Quinn left DeMatha to go to Oak Hill. And I've always credited Quinn with my then appointment to USA Basketball because of the way he represented our program. He was very well coached, very well prepared. He represented all the things that we really taught at DeMatha, and the USA staff called me from the World Championships. I believe they were in Germany. They called me from Germany and asked me if I would be a part of the next cycle. And then getting around them and being around them, came to find out that, you know, Quinn's representation of me and my program was one of the main reasons why they called. So, and then once I got my foot in the door, I wasn't leaving. So I did everything I could. I coached that year. We went to Cancun, U16. We went to Lithuania, U17 the following year, and then, you know, coached a couple of hoop summits, and then just going to be a court coach at, you know, the different training camps and mini camps. And then, you know, last, was it 2017, December of 2017, uh, December of 2018, excuse me, I got, you know, the conversation with Samson Coyote, who's the junior national team director, came to DeMatha for one of our tournaments and asked to have a meeting with me and told me that I was going to be the next head coach of the junior national program. And I don't know of a better honor a coach could have. And I was very, very excited and honored to accept that.
So I had the opportunity, you talked about Coach Showalter earlier, and he's the one who connected me with you, obviously, but I had the opportunity to come out to one of the mini camps and watch you guys work, and the intensity. Like, to me, I had just came from the NBA Top 100 camp, and then came right out to Colorado, and all the All-Americans are at the NBA Top 100 camp. So some of these kids that were in Colorado, I just seen play 2 days ago, and they did not play as hard 2 days ago than they played 2 days later. So talk about the intensity in those mini camps and these kids competing because of the 3 letters across their chests.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, again, you talk about culture and just the culture that we have. So, one of the things that we are very proud to say, you go into, so it's a difference. There's mini camps and there's training camps. Mini camps, you're not picking a team. You're just doing everything you can to help the kids get better. You're trying to evaluate. You're looking at, the future of basketball. Training camps, you're trying to pick a team. And, like, truly getting the kids to understand that. So in these circumstances where you have the guys that are going to pick a team, like, we let them know up front, the 12 best players are not going to make the team. Like, that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for the 12 best guys that make the best team.
Right.
And that's a huge distinction between the two. So when you get these guys that know, oh, I'm the number 1 ranked player in my class, or, hey, I just, I did this and I did that, like, all of that goes out of the window.
Right.
Like, what you're going to do with these, like you said, 3 letters across your chest, because you're not representing your school anymore, your neighborhood, or your state. Like, you are representing our country. And, you can say what you want about the United States. When you go into another country and you are around 20 other nations and their representatives, you have a pride in the United States.
Right.
And you win a gold medal and they play the national anthem and you put your hand over your heart when that national anthem is being played. Like, there's very few things in my life that I experienced that have been so impactful on just my appreciation for where I come from.
Nah, no question about it. And so, you talk about that moment when you were named the coach of the junior national team, but then in 2019, you were named developmental basketball coach of the year. You know what I'm saying? So from, you're talking about 15 years working with USA Basketball and doing everything on and everything that you had to do, and it culminated in that. So tell me how it feels to be recognized for that honor. And I know that you don't coach for the honors, but it does feel good to be recognized.
Yeah, being recognized is great, but I hope that the genuineness in what I'm about to say comes out, because it is truly the way I feel. Like, that is something that is shared. Like, first of all, you're not that, like, I'm not the developmental coach here because of necessarily what I've done. It's because my team was pretty good. Like, if we don't win the gold medal, there's no way I win that award. Right. And like I said, there's 20 of us. Like, there's 20 coaches within our program. Like, there's coaches within my league. Steve Turner is a coach at Gonzaga, rival coach. Nick Lagabo, from Chicago. Chad Yates out in California. Sharman White down in Atlanta. Eric Flannery in Ohio. Chet Mason in Ohio. Rob Gross. Like, just guys all around the country. Scott Fitch in New York. Like, it's so many guys that come into those environments, and they do everything they can to help the team that I'm the head coach of be the best we can be. And without them, we're not as good. So that's something that I happily accept the honor of, but I tell anybody that'll listen that I share that with the players that go out there and get it done, and then all the young men that help me prepare those guys, because it could not be done without them.
No question about it. I love that. I love that answer. So I kind of want to bring it back. I kind of want to bring it back now to DeMatha. So, you know, we're kind of in a, we're not kind of, we are in a tough time in our country right now. And, you know, you have a lot of kids that you mean so much to. You're more than just a coach to your players. You're more than just a coach to the families. You know, with everything that's going on with social injustice, you know, in our country right now, talk about the conversations that you're having with your players right now, and talk about how you're managing your team right now during these times, because your student athletes are at an impressionable age. You understand what I'm saying? So talk about, number one, how you feel about what's going on right now, and then share how, you know, the conversations that you're having with your players right now.
You know, just like anybody. You know, I cannot overstate that. You know, the emotion that comes with being an African American male in this current society. I am not a police basher. Like, I've got some people that are very close to me that are police officers. But I'd be a fool to not acknowledge that clearly there are issues that, if they're not addressed, like, who the hell knows what's going to happen next? You know, I have become someone that I believe, as coaches, like, we're natural leaders. Like, we obviously have an influence on young people, but I also believe that our young people are the ones that are going to get, if there's going to be any change, it's going to be led by them. So all the conversations I have, like, obviously I want to check on my guys and make sure they're okay first and foremost. And that's even before all of this craziness, even just with the pandemic. You know, because not everybody's kept their job. Not everybody is able to keep the lights on, buy food, all that other stuff. So you want to make sure that they're okay. But through all of this stuff, my whole message has been, like, what can be done to, like, do something. And, like, I have, like, tried to investigate, educate myself. Like, I don't think you can go into anything haphazard and just strictly off of emotion. And I've kind of settled on, like, the only way that this is going to get improved is if our young people truly embrace their voice in voting. Like, they have to. And for all of these popular basketball players, for all of these popular student athletes, they all have the ability to do something and to make it cool. So my big thing is that the popularity with social media that our guys have, that these kids have across this country, make it cool to go register to vote. Like, you know, how many people on election day do you see post a picture with the sticker "I voted" on? And, like, it's almost like, you know, I feel you didn't really care that you voted. You just wanted that sticker so that you can let everybody know you did that. Well, these young people, because, like, you know, if you're Hunter Dickinson, if you're Josh Christopher, if you're Jalen Green, if you're all of these guys that are of age to be able to vote, if you truly make it something popular to do, to register to vote, to educate yourself to vote, to know who you're voting for and what policies you're in favor of, and then to talk to your friends about doing the same thing, and then actually follow through on November 3rd to vote. I'm not out here telling anybody what they should be voting for. Like, that's not my job. But I want young people to truly embrace their ability to impact what is happening right now. And I guess I get discouraged sometimes because some young people think that they're just voting for the president. Like, yo, you can vote for local and state people that have way more of an impact on what happens to you and your family on a daily basis. You know, some people think you go in there and you just vote for people. No, you go in there and you vote for policy.
Right.
Like, and you need to educate yourself on whatever policy you believe in, whatever laws that you believe in. which candidate supports those policies. Like, again, like this isn't necessarily a popular message to say, but I can't stand it for somebody to walk in there and I'm white, so I'm just going to vote for the candidate because he's white and the other candidate's black. Or if I'm black and I go in there, well, I'm just voting for him because he's black. I have no idea what he or she stands for, but because they're black, I'm going to vote for them. Like, you don't know what you just may have done. You may have voted for somebody who doesn't believe in anything that you believe in. Mm-hmm. And I think that's truly important for our guys to, again, register to vote, educate yourself on what it is you want to vote for, talk to your buddies about doing the same thing, and then follow through on November 3rd. Like, that is the only way that there's going to be sustainable change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nah. I appreciate you sharing that with us. So as we get ready to wrap up, I kind of want to hit you with some quick hitters.
Okay.
So I want to go back to your playing days first. And I want you to tell me, we're going to start in high school and then we're going to go to college. Toughest opponent you played against in high school?
Oh, wow. Probably, oh, that's tough. That's real tough. I'll say Lawrence Moten, played at Carroll High School, played at Syracuse, all-time leading Big East scorer. I think maybe somebody broke his record this year, but I mean, he for 20-some years, he's been the all-time leading scorer in Big East history. So I would say Lawrence Moten. Tough.
He was tough. Okay, so at Old Dominion. Now, y'all played in the Colonial, right? At Old Dominion?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Back, the Colonial was a little different back then.
Yeah, so Odell Hodge was there when you was there, correct?
Yes, sir. That was my roommate.
Okay, he was tough. Odell was tough. Odell was tough. Okay. My man Kenny Wood was at Richmond at that time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So who was the toughest player you played against in college?
Yeah, that's another good one. So we played against Carolina when they had Stackhouse and Rasheed Wallace. So I'd probably say those two. I've had a very good game versus them, but they clearly were. I mean, they were pros before they were pros. So I would say those two guys.
And then toughest venue that you had to play in. Like, what was the place where you know, like, you had to bring it, they was gonna be on you? What was the toughest place to play?
So I actually fed off of that.
Okay.
I remember we played at UNC Wilmington, again, back when the CAA was a little bit different. UNC Wilmington was one of the toughest or best teams in the league, and we go to shoot around, and they had already set out the pages in the student section, and I walked over, and my manager holds up one of the sheets, and it's got my picture, my number, some personal information about me, so they knew what to chant at me during the game, and that totally I had one of the best shooting games I ever had, and I could not wait to tell them to shut up. And like, oh my gosh, every time I caught the ball, they started chanting, and like, coach literally let me go. So like, I'm pretty sure I shot the ball every time I touched it, and I made 5 threes in the first 6 minutes of the game, and like, I was just on fire. So I actually thrived off of that, but I would say that's one of the places that was one of the toughest to play, and I thoroughly, but I enjoyed all of those environments, just like I enjoy coaching in those hostile environments now. Like, I think it brings out the best in guys.
Yeah, well, that's coming. That's coming right now. So, take me back to the game that you did, that you knew at that point, like, okay, I know I can coach this game at a high level. Was there a defining game for you? Like, there had to be that first game where you were like, okay, so maybe that 8-0 start was like, okay, this is what we do. But there might have been a game where it's like, I can do this for real for a long time.
So there were plenty of games that first year that I was questioning whether or not I could get it done. Obviously, when things weren't going so well. If I had to pick one, so my second year, so like I said, we went 15-17 my first year. We went 19-11 my second year, and then we went 29-2 and 34-1 the 2 years after that. But in that second year, we played against Gonzaga, which was one of the best teams in our league, and we had lost to them twice my first year, and we had already lost to them the first time we played them my second year, and we beat them the second time we played them my second year, and it was one of those games that we had to grind out. It was wound up being like a 3 or 5 point victory for us, but not just for me, but I think for our kids, it let us know like, hey, like we're gonna be all right. We're going in the right direction. Like this is getting ready to turn into something special, because that crew that we had then went on to be the core of those teams the next 2 years when like nobody could beat us.
Right. Nah, no question about it.
Shout
Shout
out
out
to
Quinn Cook on here. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, Quinn, check your DMs, man. We'd love to get you on here, man. Please, please. So now you say you love coaching in them hostile environments.
Love it.
But what's the game and where's the place that you're gonna go to where you know it's gonna be a hostile environment?
Well, I'm gonna say, we're DeMatha, so everywhere we go is gonna be crazy. But I mean, anytime we go, like again in our league, Gonzaga, college, high school, we're the only. Well, actually, there's 3 of us now, but we're the 2 historic all-boys schools in our league. So like, no matter what our records are, no matter who's coaching, who's playing, doesn't matter. Like it's gonna be a hostile environment at their place, and then for them at our place. Paul VI is one where that like their fans go crazy over there when we come over there, and they used to have this bus that they used to bring out at the end of games, to talk about teams, and evidently they had it for like 3 or 4 years. I never saw it because we never gave them the opportunity to bring that bus out when we were over there, but everybody else would talk about it. Bishop O'Connell in our league, St. John's in our league, Bishop McNamara in our league. The crowds get pretty heated when we come through there. But again, I truly enjoy every one of those environments. It's, again, I wish I could play. Like it's nothing like playing in those environments. Like I almost enjoy that more than I like, playing or coaching at home.
Mm-hmm. So you're hosting a dinner, and you're inviting 3 coaches to that dinner to obtain knowledge from. Who would you invite to that? Who are those 3 coaches that you would invite to that dinner?
Wow. That's tough. I would say the first one, just off the top of my head, is going to be Coach Wooten.
Okay.
I just like his storytelling is unbelievable, and his storytelling has always got a lesson in it. So definitely Coach Morgan Wooten. The second coach would be probably Tony Dungy.
Okay.
Like outside of basketball, but such a faith-filled man.
Yes.
And such a tremendous leader. I would love to. I've never met him. I would love to just spend any amount of time in his presence and just being able to learn from him. And then lastly, especially now, I'd probably say Greg Popovich.
Yes.
Not so much for, obviously he's a great coach. He's won a lot of games, but just for his perspective on just everything that's going on, and just his ability to be truthful and free in what he has to say.
Absolutely. Nah, that's a great list. I like that. So I got 2 more questions for you. One, that's pretty been getting a lot of press lately is, let me get your thoughts on higher ranked players going to HBCUs now. Like, what do you think about that? What do you think about that? And there's talk of systematic racism going on at these colleges, and and using kids for the betterment. What do you think about that?
So I believe that if that were to happen, like it would have to be a commitment by more than just one kid.
Mm-hmm.
it would have to be a commitment by a few kids over a period of time for it to truly work. You know, the resources are different. Like it's fact.
Mm-hmm.
Resources are different, and if you truly want resources to be channeled towards these HBCUs, then it has to be something that is more consistent than just, hey, you know, Josh Christopher goes to Howard for his freshman year and then goes to the NBA, and then that's it.
Yeah.
You know, maybe Howard benefits from it for that 1 year, but then what happens?
Right.
Um, you know, people have said forever, like the Fab Five. Had the Fab Five decided we're going to go to a HBCU, like that would have been incredible.
Right.
Like they would have been able to win.
Mm-hmm.
They would have been able to put a school on the map. But that's just one school. Like it would have to be something that is done on a higher level. Like right now, you've got teams leaving the MEAC to go to the Big South and to other conferences that are not HBCU conferences.
Mm-hmm.
Like why? Like you have to ask yourself, why are those schools that are like they're all about African American heritage, why are they making these decisions to go play athletically in, you know, what you would call a white conference, just for the lack for this conversation?
Mm-hmm.
Like why are they making those choices? And they're making those choices because of the resources that comes along with it, the exposure that comes along with it, and then obviously, you know, just like anything else, the money that comes along with it. So, and I think people should realize that, I mean, it's so easy to say something, and this is what kids should do, but like it's so many layers to this thing. Like I would love to see it, but I would love to see it be a commitment made for a 10-year span,
Right.
just to see what can happen.
Absolutely. Nah, no question about it. And so my last question is, you know, when it's all said and done, and who knows when that will be, what's Mike Jones's legacy?
That's something I got to work on, man.
Yeah.
Like you know, the basketball has done a lot for me, but it's also probably hurt, you know, some parts of my life. Like I'm so engulfed in this. You know, when it's all said and done, how I would love my legacy to read or to say is, you know, I did everything I could for every kid that came into contact with me. I strive every year to get better at that. You know, I want to coach the superstar, but I want the last guy on my bench to feel like he got the same energy from me that the superstar got. And I want to be more consistent and successful at doing that. I want to have a better, you know, impact on my daughter's life. Right? You know, and, you know, basketball takes me so far and gets me committed, especially during that time of year. Like there's just so many things that I want to do that, you know, like I said, I'm a man that's growing up and trying to be everything that I can be, but just like anybody else, I want my impact on my family, and you know, my basketball teams become my family as well. On that part of my family too, I just want it to be everlasting and something that they can carry with them forever. I want to have that kind of impact. So,
Nah, I appreciate that. And once again, I appreciate you for coming on here tonight. And I know how busy you are, but I appreciate you carving out some time for me to have this conversation with me. I respect you, and I respect the job that you do, coaching not only with DeMatha, but also with USA Basketball. Hopefully at some point when this thing opens up, you know, you guys aren't far from me on Long Island. I'd love to get down and see one of your practices that I've heard so much about, and really see how you get down there. But thank you so much, Coach. I appreciate you so much.
just one last thing I want to say just one more time. Every young player that is going to be 18 by the time November 3rd gets here, please, like, again, you talk about researching, like just go to vote.org and register to vote. Or if you think you're registered to vote, go confirm that you're registered to vote. I'm getting ready to put out a couple of tweets as soon as I get off of this call, just to encourage them to do the same thing. Like, you guys, you young ladies out there, you have to embrace your influence. You have it right now. You have to seize the moment. The moment is here. The momentum is here. Take advantage of this opportunity. Go register to vote. If you believe you're already registered, go confirm that you're registered. And then we can see what change we really can make, because young people are leading the way.
Absolutely. Now, I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Coach, once again, and we'll definitely be in touch.
Yes, sir.
All right.